Hey everybody, I've got a high water Selway River trip report from May of 2025. We launched on May 8th with the Paradise gauge at 4.5 feet. We ran the Moose Juice section of rapids on May 9th with the gauge at 5 feet. And then we pushed out on May 10th through Wolf Creek and the last couple rapids with the gauge at 5.6 feet. We've got 6 boats on this trip. All of them are 14-foot catarafts, except one is a Phat Cat. At these flows, the river is very fast moving and there's a lot of continuous rapids, so we all packed light so that we can hopefully flip our boats upright by ourselves if nobody else can get to us to help us out. We're launching here on Whitecap Creek, just about a half mile upstream of the Paradise launch on the Selway River. Water temperature is about 48 degrees, so we're all in dry suits. The first big rapid we came to on the Selway was Goat Creek. This is kind of a long, winding rapid with some really big boulders to move around. I didn't find it that pushy in the lightly loaded Cat, but definitely required a lot of maneuvering. We had initially planned on doing a 4-day trip with either a short day ending at Moose Creek or a long first day and a layover at Moose Creek. The Moose Juice section of rapids below Moose Creek is pretty continuous and it's hard to stop and scout, so camping at Moose Creek allows you to hike down the river trail and scout those rapids the day before. We didn't make it down to Moose Creek on day one, and with the river being high and rising, we decided that we weren't going to camp at Moose Creek after all, and we just pushed through the big rapids on day 2 of our trip. Ham Rapid was the first big rapid we came to on the second day. It's definitely worth a scout. There were 2 really big, mean-looking holes in this rapid, extending almost from the right bank past the center of the river. So we're going to be running just to the left of those holes. Moose Creek adds a bunch of flow to the Selway River right above a big series of rapids that people refer to as moose juice. The river gets a lot bigger and more pushy, and the rapids are close enough together that you don't have much recovery time if somebody swims. Our plan was to run double drop and Wa-Poots Rapid and then pull over on River Right to scout Ladle, which is the most difficult rapid on the Selway. Things started to go a little sideways for us right after Wa-Poots Rapid. The lead boat was watching to make sure nobody had any trouble in Wa-Poots Rapid and didn't realize how fast Ladle was coming up. By the time he realized he was right above Ladle Rapid, there wasn't enough time to get over to the scout or even to the proper entrance spot for the rapid, and he flipped right at the top of Ladle. I was in the back of the group and didn't realize there had been a flip, but I followed the other boaters on as they tried to catch up. One of our other rowers was ejected from his boat at the top of Ladle. This was my first time down the Selway, so I didn't know the lines, but after seeing Justin get ejected, I knew we all had to keep moving to try to catch up. There was really no way to hurry through this section though, with all the big hydraulics and the need for me to read the water. There's just a short distance between the bottom of Ladle and Little Niagra Rapid just below. Luckily, two of the other rowers were nearby and were able to get to the swimmer, and he was able to grab onto a boat. The river's moving really fast here, even between the rapids, so there wasn't enough time to get him back to his boat before they got swept into Little Niagara Rapid. Right about here, I catch a glimpse of the lead boat, which is still upside down with nobody around to help. Luckily, the lead boater was able to stay with his boat and climb on top of it. By this time, his boat had taken such a beating that his dry box was full of water and he wasn't able to flip it back upright by himself.
Get on your boat! Get your boat!
At this point, I'm the last boat left in our group, so when this red cat gets caught in the eddy behind the first drop in Little Niagara, I pull in there. There's 2 more drops in Little Niagara Rapid coming up right below this, so I put the oars back on the boat and push it back into the current. I didn't know the lines down here, and I didn't have any of the rowers left to follow at this point, so I'm watching that empty boat to see how it does when it goes through the rapids. The river's pretty steep down here, so there's horizon lines that make it impossible to see what's below them from the boat. As I come up on this third drop in Little Niagara Rapids, I can't see this hole until I'm right on top of it. It surfs me pretty good, and I started to wonder if it was going to let me out or not. The river calmed down for a bit here, and we were able to get Justin back over to his boat. In the front of the group, one of the boats that was chasing the lead boat ended up flipping as well. They were able to get his boat upright pretty quickly because it wasn't full of water, and then they started working on getting the lead boat flipped over. There were a lot of really powerful features down here, and of course that lead boat being upside down hit quite a few of them. Fortunately, the rower for the lead boat was able to stay with and on top of his boat for the mile of rapids below Ladle, and there were no injuries in the group beyond a few bumps and bruises. The weather in northern Idaho this time of year is usually cold and rainy, but we lucked out with some really sunny, warm days, so we're able to get stuff dried out at camp. On our last day, we ran Wolf Creek, Jim Creek, and Covered Creek. The camera footage doesn't really do it justice, but there's some really fun, huge waves in all three of these last rapids. This is a fast-moving river, and we were able to make about 8 miles an hour on the push out. You really don't want to miss the takeout because about a mile below is Selway Falls. The Selway River flows through the Selway Bitterroot Wilderness Area, one of the largest wilderness areas in the United States. In 1968, Congress passed the National Wild and Scenic Rivers Act to preserve free-flowing rivers with outstanding natural, cultural, and recreational values. The Selway River was one of 8 original rivers included in the act to be preserved as a wild and scenic river.